What up? What up? What up?
What's going
Black
on?
Comic Lords in the building. It's another week of Wakanda whiskey, Blerddom, and Bourbon. Sorry, we've been on hiatus. We've been traveling. Summertime hiatus, vacationing, traveling the world, doing our thing, and getting relaxed, working on our tans. Now I got this beautiful chocolatey brown tan I got on right now. What's going on, brother? How you doing? Long time no see.
I know it's been a minute.
What you sipping on?
Doing good. This is something that I just bought the other day called Mealum and Green to Bourbon. I was in a whiskey store. The price was right. It was under $40, and I never had it before, so I was like, "Why not?"
So you drinking that cheap liquor?
Well, it's not cheap just because it's not expensive, but got a nice flavor to it. Got a nice bouquet. That's what it tastes like.
Talking about bouquet. You sound all sophisticated.
This isn't bad. It's not bad.
That's a Mad Dog 2020.
Not bad.
I am a creature of habit, as you know, so I am drinking my standard Ardbeg Oakdal, Scotch, Ely, Scotch, Highland. I said Highland. Ely Scotch, very peated.
Yeah,
This is the most amount of peat that I'm willing to do is Ardbeg Oakdal. I don't do Peat Monster. I don't do Borana. I can't pronounce that word.
right.
This is as peaty as I get. I enjoy this good stuff.
One thing, since we're talking about whiskey, and for those of you who don't know, about 7 years ago, I started a group up here in Atlanta where we would get together once a month and do whiskey tastings. Paul actually came to one back in 2018. Paul came up here so we could go watch Black Panther together. That week, we saw it 3 times. I saw it 3 times. He and I saw it like twice.
Yeah.
When he was up here. But that being said, after we watched it on that Saturday, I had my whiskey event. And the way we did it that particular time is everybody who came brought a bottle, let everybody else sample it. And at the end of the event, we decided which whiskey we liked the best. Paul, I think, had a Balvenie. There were a lot of other different whiskeys that were brought. The one that I brought was a Scotch we have this store up here called, I think it's called Tower Wine. Do you guys have Tower down there?
I don't believe so.
No, it may not be Tower, but regardless, I've not been able to find this Scotch anywhere else. And I've discovered that I like Scotch that has been aged in sherry casks.
Yeah.
So I love that. Like Glenmorangie La Santa, for example.
That's a good one. I actually like Glenmorangie La Santa.
Glenmorangie La Santa. I love that whiskey, that Scotch. But that being said, everybody, we had a good sized crowd that day. We had about 10 to 12 folks. So everybody's trying these different whiskeys. The one that everybody liked the best was the one that I brought. It was that Scotch from this whiskey store, from this liquor store that's up here. And I mention it because the bottle was only $30. Paul was ribbing me about, the price of this particular bottle. But what folks need to understand is that just because you're paying a lot of money for whiskey doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be something that you enjoy. I bought one on the recommendation of this guy at a whiskey store. I spent like 70-something bucks on it. It's a whiskey out of Spain. Tried it, absolutely hated it. It is one of the worst whiskeys I've ever had. But if you're out there in the liquor store and you're trying to get into whiskey, don't be daunted by the price. If something is like $8 to $12, okay, yeah, that's something that you have in your liquor cabinet if you want to mix some drinks or whatever. Have like a bourbon and Coke or something like that. But if you're trying to get into whiskey and just want it neat, which means no ice, don't be turned off by the price just because it may not be as expensive as some of the other ones. Because just because it's expensive doesn't mean it's good, and just because it's not as expensive doesn't mean it's bad. So I just want to throw that out there. Later on, maybe we can talk about some of the whiskeys we like. But as far as books are concerned, I know we haven't done this in a while, and I got a whole stack of stuff that I wanted to maybe talk about. The first of which...
I'll let you lead off then, man.
By
the way, before we get started, I'd like to encourage everybody, if you're watching this at some point, please like and subscribe to the channel. Like the video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out in ways you can't even comprehend, and we really appreciate it. And also, I'm wearing our Black Comic Lords merch. This is our new item, Long Box Marauders, a take on the Midnight Marauders classic album with all of the major black superheroes on it. Just go to blackcomiclords.net, hit up the merch shop, and buy yourself a shirt. It's the con season. You might as well look good.
Yeah. But books. Black Panther.
I got two books that came in the mail, so I don't have no idea what this is. While you talk about those, I'll open these up.
Right.
No, don't talk about Black Panther yet. We'll talk about that. Go through your other books because that's a conversation.
Okay. Well, Black Panther, hated it. Reading
We'll talk about that.
Blood Syndicate. From Milestone, I was getting Icon and Rocket, which I liked. Static, which I like. I don't care.
You like Static?
I can't
Well,
remember.
you weren't really into the original Milestone, were you?
No, I can't remember if I got Hardware. I don't think I did. Maybe I did. I didn't like it. And I've got Blood Syndicate, which I am enjoying. Black Adam. The book came out a few weeks ago. There is a companion piece, Black Adam, the Justice Society files featuring Hawkman. It's a one-shot. And they've retconned in DC. They've retconned Hawkman. Before he was, what was it, Carter Hall, white dude or whatever. Well,
Yeah.
now they've got him resembling, what's my man's name who's playing him live action?
Aldous Hodge?
Aldous Hodge. So they've kind of retconned him. And as you can see, this version of Black Adam looks like The Rock. Now, why they have The Rock on the cover of this book when it's Hawkman featured, I don't really understand. Well, I do because they're trying to sell it, but still.
Why wouldn't you understand that? They got a movie coming out.
Yep. Philadelphia. Really, really good. I like what Rodney Barnes is doing in this book.
There are no bad issues of Philadelphia.
Yeah, I don't want to ruin it for anything of what he's doing, but this is a vampire tale that has a spin involving American history. It is really, really unique and really, really good. Shout out to Rodney Barnes. Naomi. I'm really, really liking Naomi. I don't know who wrote the series, but yeah, the series,
Which series?
on CW was not good at all. I'm talking about Naomi. The book itself, I'm enjoying. I like the character. I like the way she's portrayed. The art is cool. It's grown on me. But the series itself, we've talked about it in this space ad nauseum. There's no need to really keep beating that dead horse. Noctera is a good book. Nubia, I'm liking. As I've said here before, I'm buying now more DC books than I ever have before my life first run.
That particular Nubia issue was actually really good too.
Yeah. Growing up in the 70s and the 80s, it was all about Marvel for me. I may have had a couple of Teen Titan books, but that was pretty much it. I was never into the Trinity, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. But now, currently in the 21st century, I'm collecting some Batman books. I'm collecting Wonder Woman books. Nubia, who is part of, that Wonder Woman lore, I'm collecting her specifically because she's Black. They've got some good stuff coming out. Prodigy is one. A couple of years ago for my birthday, Paul bought me the trade paperback of the first run of Prodigy. And I'm going to be honest with you, I have not finished it because the character was just too ridiculous. He was just too OP. I thought it was absolutely ridiculous. I did not enjoy it. And I mean,
How can it be OP and he has no superpowers?
Intellectually, this dude, here's the thing. Prodigy is about a kid who is, under 30, extremely, extremely smart. And he's a mix between Sherlock Holmes, Batman, The Question, Reed Richards, and any other smart intellectual person that you can think of. And there was a scene or a couple of panels in the original trade paperback where Prodigy is fighting. He has no superpowers, but he's a great hand-to-hand combatant. So he's fighting these terrorists or whatever. And within 30 seconds, he's psychoanalyzing this dude he was fighting. And he was like, yeah, your father left you at 10 years old. And just all kinds of ridiculous stuff that you would not be able to deduce from that brief period of time. We understand that Batman and Sherlock Holmes use their deductive reasoning to figure out certain things. But this dude, his was just absolutely ridiculous. I say all that to say the Icarus Society, which is the current run of Prodigy, I actually did enjoy the first issue. It was not bad. The original trade paperback, I may eventually at some point go back and finish it. I just couldn't initially. And then finally, the 5-issue What If Miles Morales storyline, where basically Miles Morales has acquired the power.
How do you say his last name again?
Morales.
Morales.
Yeah. Miles Morales, he has the powers in one book. He has the powers of Captain America, Wolverine, the Hulk, and Thor. And then the final book, book 5, they team up to fight this threat. I'm not going to ruin it, but
Miles Avengers.
Right. It's the Miles Avengers. But basically, it is a multiverse of madness type storyline where different universes, Miles Morales has developed certain powers. In one universe, he's Captain America, the other, the Hulk, et cetera, et cetera. And as a whole, out of the 5 books, they were all pretty good, with Captain America, to me, being the best. The 5th book, which is the team up when they have their Avengers battle against the villains, that one was pretty strong too. The worst one that got a lot of flack when it was released was What If Miles Morales became Thor, right? And the reason why this one got a lot of flack was because of how they had Thor Miles talking slang, and it was just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean the other 4 issues were all written by Black writers. That's the only one that was written by a non-Black writer, and he had so much flack and outcry from the community. The writer ended up formally apologizing in social media and agreed to donate the proceeds of his earnings from writing it to something. I don't remember, some charity. I don't know where he's donating money to. He gave up his money for it.
Basically, the book is written in a style of basically a white dude thinking how urban Black folks talk.
It was very much a caricature of Black.
Right. Like, I know a lot of folks probably watching are under the age of 50, but there was a movie back in the late 70s, early 80s called Airplane, which was a parody movie of disaster airplane flicks, right? There was a whole series of movies where there was all kinds of drama at airports and with airplanes. But there was a scene with Barbara Billingsley, God rest her soul, who played Leave It to Beaver's mother. And she says to the steward,
that movie, by the way, would never get made today.
Right. She's talking to the stewardess. One of the passengers who happens to be Black is ill, and he talks quote unquote jive. And she, Barbara Billingsley, Leave It to Beaver's mom, is translating for the stewardess. And the way she talked was just gibberish. And the way this writer had Miles talking was equivalent to that. But overall, the 5 issues What If Miles storyline was actually pretty good.
And I think that's the part that's a little disheartening is the rest of the series actually wasn't bad, particularly the first issue.
Captain America was good.
The Captain America one was really good.
Yep.
And it was a very Black issue. Most of the characters in that book were Black.
Yep.
I mean, it was definitely a well-written issue.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it detracted from the overall thing. I mean, I get the criticisms of this could have been done a different way, where they could have not used, one character to play a bunch of white legacy characters. You could have had Miles play a bunch of Black legacy characters. I mean, I get that. But beyond that, I mean, I'm never going to turn down Black creators getting work and doing good work. And I supported that.
The one thing from that issue, though, that I really appreciated was, of course, because he's Thor, he's the son of Odin. And because he's Black, he has a Black father, Black Odin or Bloden. Let me tell you, that is one of the hardest drawings I have ever seen. If you have that picture, you can bring it up. Black Odin was that dude, right? Like, I mean, he just looks hard. Look at that. Got the fur on the collar. Those color. Can you blow it up some? Is that possible? Yeah. He's got that arm from the destroyer, one-eyed. I mean, he just, that image right there just exudes command and power. It's just a very dope image, and I really really like that. I really like that design.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was it, man. Going back
That's pretty
to
much the only highlight of that issue.
say it again.
So that was pretty much the only highlight of that issue.
Yeah, yeah. But going back to Philadelphia, are you up to date on it or
No.
no?
No. I just got it in the mail like 2 days ago.
Okay, so what issue are they on, and what issue did you get?
I think they're on 23.
Okay. Let's see. And while I'm okay, yeah, you're right. It's 23. So if you've not, Paul hasn't read it yet, so I'm not going to discuss it too much, but it's really good. As a tangent, there is a new Green Lantern animated movie that focuses on Green Lantern John Stewart, and it is really good. If you can find it, you need to watch it. I've watched it twice at this point. It kind of combines a storyline from the comics. It's not exactly like the comics, but it was very well done. It features the Thanagarians, it features the Iranians, not Iranians, but Iranians, but from Rand, the folks from Rand, with Adam Strange, his people that he, immigrated to. But it's a very, very good animated movie. Have you seen it yet?
No, I haven't watched it yet.
Oh, it's really good. Paul and I have said, in our years long friendship, going back 15 years in reference to animated movies, DC's animated movies rivals the MCU as far as quality, as far as story, world building. I mean, they've just knocked it out of the park, and it's just a shame that their live action movies haven't been able to reach that same quality.
You know what's interesting with that? I made this post today about the new Black Adam film that's coming out, and a lot of people, I don't think, haven't really picked up on the fact that this is DC's opportunity to kind of reboot their universe, so to speak. The article came out saying that, in essence, DC has no plans in the immediate future to expand on the Snyderverse at all. There's no contracts in play. And if you look at what's going on in the comics, there's a new Black Adam series that's come out. Did you get the new Black Adam issue?
Yeah,
too?
I mentioned it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
that was the Hawkman, but yes.
No, I'm not talking about that. His own self-titled series.
Yes.
Written by Christopher Priest.
Yes.
The issue 2 came out. It was the introduction of his heir, who I mean, this isn't a spoiler. It's all over the news. He's called White Adam, which he immediately takes issue with. He's like, I'm black. That's not going to work for me. I think there is a rumor that his name will ultimately be called Bolt. But I've enjoyed it so far. And Black Adam, as the Justice League is, if you're following DC right now, Justice League is dead. Black Adam is one of the few members of the Justice League who's still alive. It's basically Black Adam and Naomi, I think, were the only League members who didn't die of the standing League. That makes him one of the most powerful members of the DC universe right now. And quite frankly, he's a leader. You read the last issue of Dark Crisis, I think he's being set up to be the leader of the new Justice League. All that being said, one of the things that pops up in our spaces all the time is, how do people get into comics? Now, for me, when I was a kid, one of the things that got me into comics were cartoons. I remember getting up on Saturday mornings and watching Super Friends and watching reruns of the syndicated original Marvel superheroes cartoons from the 60s, the Captain America, Thor, Spider-Man, Submariner, Hulk. I watched those cartoons on Saturdays. And that was kind of my introduction to Marvel superheroes and DC superheroes, and got me into wanting to read the comics. And I think that's the case with a lot of kids. Today, kids They get into comics from the MCU or the DC Extended Universe. They get into the DC animated films. Same cartoons that they can watch now, video games, whatever. The point is, most people get into comics without reading comics first. It's usually TV, cartoons, movies. That being said, some of these characters that's going to this new Black Adam film have never seen the screen before. Even Black Adam, has Black Adam ever been on TVs or movie?
Yes, animated, not live action.
The animated one, but not live action. There's never been a live action Black Adam. There's been a live action Hawkman.
Yep.
There's been a live action Dr. Fate, briefly in a couple television series, but that's it. I mean, those were very minor appearances. They weren't extended at all. This will be the first exposure for a lot of a whole generation of people to seeing these characters in live action. And people tend to stick to that impression, that first impression they have. You know, I remember to this day, one of my favorite, what I think is one of the best superhero films of all time, was the original Superman movie. Why? I saw it when I was a kid. You know, seeing Christopher Reeve fly over New York, I'm like, oh my God, that looks real. Like a dude can fly.
They made us believe in the 70s that a man could fly, because
they made you believe that a man could fly.
The technology that they had was not what we have now. You know,
right? Right.
Cutting edge was that and Star Wars.
Right.
And, you know, yeah.
So for a whole generation of kids, they're going to watch this Black Adam film, which, by the way, has a majority minority cast. You got Dwayne Johnson playing The Rock. You got Aldous Hodge playing Hawkman.
You got Dwayne Johnson playing Black Adam, not The Rock. He is The Rock.
Oh, sorry. Dwayne Johnson playing Black Adam. Aldous Hodge playing Hawkman. There's a sister who's playing Cyclone, and there is a Hispanic gentleman playing Atom Smasher. So the majority of the class are non-white.
Yeah,
that's huge. That's actually never happened for DC, and Marvel only did it once with Black Panther.
And Pierce Brosnan, aka Remington Steele. A lot of you guys don't know who that is.
Pierce Brosnan, yeah, right. So
Dr. Fate.
This is DC's biggest film right now, and this is their opportunity to kind of reboot the DC universe. Jim Lee just released a picture. Let me see if I can pull it up. Jim Lee just released a picture from San Diego Comic-Con that he did. DC. Let me see if I can find it. Give me 1 second. Yeah, here it is. Let me share this with you guys. I want to show you what you can immediately notice. Look at this picture. Let's see if we can blow it up a little bit. So Jim Lee did this picture for San Diego Comic-Con, which is going on right now, right? Notice who's kind of at the forefront of this picture. Black Adam, not Superman, not Batman, Black Adam, right? And he's the Rock Black Adam. Look at that swarthy skin.
Can you blow it up, son?
Yeah. Right? Look who's on. This is what you want to focus on. Focus on the left. This mostly is DC's extended universe. Most of what you see on this page are characters from their television shows and movies and cartoons. You've got Black Adam right here. Over here, you've got a couple characters from the television show Doom Patrol, right? You've got Batwoman with what's her name?
I don't know. I never watched.
Javicia Leslie, whatever her name is, the actress. That's her right there. Here's another character from Doom Patrol. Here's the Black Hawkman, Aldous Hodge. Here's your Aquaman from the DC movie. He's got a movie coming out. Here's your the Atom Smasher guy. Here's Blue Beetle, who we know is a Hispanic actor, is going to be playing Jaime Reyes.
Javicia Leslie is
Javicia
the woman
Leslie.
who played Batwoman.
Look at this Batgirl. There's a Batgirl movie coming out who's being played by a black actress. I don't know who this character. Oh, this character right here. I believe that's Black Racer, who was introduced in DC's Future State Superman World of War. So this whole side, the left side of this, very melanated. Let's go to the right side. You've got Stargirl in Stripes from the Stargirl series.
That series on CW is very good.
Right. You've got Superman and Lois right here. Here's your Cyborg from Doom Patrol. Here's Michael Keaton's Batman. Right? He's going to be in the upcoming Flash movie. Here's Flash here and Flash here. You got
Barry Allen and Wally West.
Yeah, you got TV Flash and you've got the movie Flash. So, and other characters right here. This is the future of the DC universe. This is the future of the DC universe.
Did you see the preview or the trailer for not Shazam, but Black Adam?
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch the movie. I'm a huge Rock fan. For those who don't know, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson played college football at the University of Miami. Both Paul and I went to the University of Miami. So I'm a huge Rock fan. I think he's got a lot of charisma. I'm not gonna say he's a great actor, but for what he does, for what he's hired for, he does extremely well. He's an action star. I'm gonna go see it, but I'm gonna be honest. I wasn't really that enamored with the trailer. You know, it looked okay. I mean, it was reminiscent kind of Iron Man. To be quite honest, there were a couple of shots in there that looked like could have been straight from Iron Man. I'll see it, but I don't know. I'm kind of, the DCEU has not been well run, and so I'm apprehensive about how good it's going to be. Now, I will say, Shazam surprised me. Shazam is probably the second best DCEU movie, with the first Wonder Woman being the first.
Agreed. Wonder Woman was the best DC movie they've done so far.
Yeah, Wonder Woman was number one. It was great.
Wonder Woman 1. Wonder Woman 1984.
Yeah. Shazam was number 2. It was really, really good. I really like Shazam. And then the rest is just a grab bag. 2001, actually, Facebook user, whoever said that.
No. I think Mike's pointing out that we also went 2002.
We did. Well, I don't know if that's what the thing was, but yeah, we went.
Welcome to Buckeye City.
But
whatever, man. We won that. Terry Porter, you'll forever live in infamy, and you can burn in hell.
They're Smallville. I don't know if we would have an Arrowverse without Smallville. And there was an episode or two of Smallville where we had a lot of these characters that were just mentioned: Dr. Fate, Hawkman, Stargirl. I wish I can figure out or remember what episode it was, but I recently just watched it, and it wasn't bad. We've now had, I'm going to go off on a tangent, sort of, but we've now had 2 live-action Stargirls, one in Smallville, one in her own series. But we can only have one live-action T'Challa. I mean, that's a conversation we'll have later on. But that particular episode of Smallville was really good. Paul and I used to watch that series when it dropped in 2001, and it ran for like 10, maybe 11 seasons. And I probably bowed out after about season 4, perhaps 5. So I need to go back and rewatch the entire thing.
Yes, you do.
But recently I found out what episode the Justice Society of America appeared with, Dr. Fate, et cetera, and I went and watched it about 2-3 weeks ago, and it was pretty good. So.
Mike's still trolling about the Bucks. Whatever, man. All right, so let me pull out some of the books that
Real quick, the game was played in 2002 after the 2001 season. So, and in 2002, after the 2002 season, we played the 2003 Fiesta Bowl. It was not pass interference. Ohio State lost that game. We won that game. It was over. They were back in the showers, taking a shower after when
I'd gotten up and paid my bill.
Was pulled. So don't even get me started on that.
All right, just got some stuff in the mail, just like literally today.
We need to talk about Black Panther, though.
We will. We'll say that one for last. So, first thing I got in the mail, Mandalorian #1. Shout out to Rodney Barnes. This is the Mike Mayhew variant cover. I love this cover. I'm trying to get this signed by Mr. Barnes. Got a couple Star Wars books. Ahsoka Tano variant for the Han Solo and Chewbacca. If you're not into Star Wars, you don't know who this is, but his name is Darth Krayt. Books I picked up recently, I posted up. Were you aware of a black ghostwriter?
No.
So there's a series called Ghostwriter, The Trail of Tears. In the story, it takes place around the time of the Civil War. And there's a gentleman by the name of African-American. His name is Caleb. And Caleb is raising his family on a farm. He's a free enslaved person. Or formerly enslaved person who got his freedom and started a farm. He comes across this, I believe it's a Confederate soldier, a Union soldier. I don't remember what side the guy was on, but he was a soldier from the Civil War, was injured, nurses him back to health. Long story short, he basically joins the family. Very appreciated. He leaves, he comes back to visit the family, and the family's all dead. Caleb comes back as a spirit of vengeance on a horse with chains, powers, and thereby becoming the first black ghostwriter.
Did you watch both of those movies with Nick Cage? I think I watched the first one. I did not watch the second one.
The second one I did watch to the extent that it didn't put me to sleep. It was complete trash. The first one wasn't bad. The second
it wasn't horrible.
The second one was literally horrible. Even though it had Idris Elba in it.
As an aside, speaking of Idris Elba, people, please stop fan casting Idris Elba for any and everything, okay? He's already been in Ghost Rider. He was Heimdall in the MCU. He doesn't need to be any other character. There are a plethora of black actors out there who can portray any role that you could possibly think of. Somebody was suggesting on Twitter the other day that Idris Elba could play T'Challa. Okay, I'm going to say that again. Idris Elba, who's been in the MCU since 2011 when Thor 1 dropped, somebody suggested that actor, Idris, could play T'Challa due to the fact that Chadwick Boseman, Bass rest his soul, has died. And when I mentioned the fact that Idris had already played somebody in the MCU, the person's response was, well, that character is dead. So in their little mind, all it is just plug and play. Just put him in a cat suit and then that's your guy. Come on, people, please think. They need to recast T'Challa. They need to go younger, and we need to continue to see that story. But anyway, go ahead.
All right, so here's some other books I picked up. Now, you and I have collected the full Black Panther runs. I know I have. But I was surprised to know that there was a couple covers, variant covers, that I did not have on the run by, well, it was part of the Hudlin run. A couple things surprised me. One, Hudlin didn't write these stories regarding the Skrulls. It was actually Jason Aaron. Didn't realize that. And there were, on top of that, there were second print variant covers that I didn't even know existed. This is issue 39 of that run.
That's the one that I have.
Get the glare off. You have this one?
I'm looking it up now. if you are a comic book collector, you need to have CLZ Comics, that app. Paul told me about it years ago. I just within the past 3 years recently started using it in full force. I highly recommend it. Was talking to one of my boys the other day. What volume is that? Volume what? 4?
4, I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
I think it's 4.
What
This is issue 39.
No, I have the red issue.
That's the original. This is the second print. Now, what's interesting about this, let me point something out to you. Now, let me say this first. And I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit here. There was a recent leak on the plot for Wakanda Forever, Black Panther 2. A couple plot points. One of the plot points is that, and this is a rumor. This isn't,
verified.
This isn't verified. One of the rumors is that not only, obviously, Chadwick Boseman's going to die of some illness or whatever.
No, Black Panther T'Challa is going to die. Chadwick is dead.
Well, Marvel doesn't seem to understand that concept, right? They think they're one and the same. So he dies of an illness.
T'Challa dies in the movie.
T'Challa dies. Shuri goes to the T'Challa, expects to see T'Challa, instead sees Killmonger, trains her to become the Black Panther. That was predictable. But Okoye is supposed to have a Black Panther suit. Shuri's going to have a Black Panther suit. Several characters supposed to have the Midnight Angel suit. But the fact that they're putting multiple characters in the Black Panther suit, that's what you see here in this cover. Look at that. That is a Dora Milaje with a Black Panther mask on. There's Black Panther. That's not Shuri, because there's 2 of them there. Another one right here.
Since we're talking about Black Panther,
characters with the Black Panther mask on.
Since we're talking about Black Panther, something that some people may not know if you didn't collect Volume 1, written by the late great Jack King Kirby, who created the character along with Stan Lee, is that in Volume 1, which came out in the 70s, there was a cadre of T'Challa relatives who were not the Black Panther, but they were Panther-esque in that they were, when T'Challa was off doing some stupid stuff,
his cousins, the Black Musketeers.
They were there in Wakanda, kind of, trying to rule it a little bit. And, they didn't have the physical abilities that T'Challa had, but they were kind of like a council of Black Panthers to a certain degree.
They were called the Black Musketeers.
Yes, the Black Musketeers.
His cousins.
Here's
the next issue. This is issue 40. It's the other second print.
Right.
This is where T'Challa defeats the Skrull, who says, "I have spent my whole life preparing to fight you." And T'Challa points out, well, then you've already lost because I've spent my whole life preparing to fight the unknown.
Right. But let's go back to Volume 1. Jack Kirby, who, like I said, with Stan Lee, created the character. Their mythology was retconned going forward because we've never seen them ever again. The only person that we've actually seen is his uncle, whose name is
Cien,
right. He, in the comic book, Cien ran Wakanda while T'Challa was off getting educated, because in the comic books, T'Chaka was killed when T'Challa was very, very young, like maybe 9-10 years old. So he couldn't immediately take over as both the ruler and religious head of Wakanda. So his uncle took over. I say all that to say, I hate the fact that in the MCU, we've not explored other familial relationships that T'Challa had, like his uncle or anybody else, and I
or his
think
cousins. He's got quite a few cousins.
Right. But even though, in fairness, we haven't seen those cousins since 1974, whenever Volume 1.
Not entirely.
I don't remember. Let me say it this way: I don't remember those same cousins popping up in any of the other volumes of Black Panther. They may have. I don't recall it. But
his cousin Tashawn was in the Reginald Hudlin run.
Okay. Um, Killing off T'Challa. Yes, I'm going down this road. Killing off T'Challa is doing a disservice to the character. Chadwick Boseman was a once in a generation talent. God rest his soul. But you do not kill off a character because a real live person died. There's only one role that I think should never ever be recast, and that's Brian from the Fast and Furious, because Paul Walker, God rest his soul, originated that character. That was original property. No one else can play Brian, right? T'Challa, however, has 50 years of history before Chadwick Boseman ever stepped foot on screen. So it's a disservice to the characters, what I care about. It's a disservice to the character not to recast. And there's a whole world out there that we have not been exposed to and won't be exposed to because of Kevin Feige's and Ryan Coogler's decisions. But anyway.
David Harper says there's no great answer if T'Challa was recast in BP2. That could be described as insensitive by the same crowd bemoaning them not recasting.
No. The people who want the character recast would not bemoan the fact that he was recast. You know, the people who are not fans, like there's this lady by the name of, I think her name is April Ryan, maybe. But she started the hashtag, was involved in the hashtag Oscars So White on Twitter when about 4 or 5 years ago, all the major acting categories were populated by white folks and not a black person or person of color was nominated. And she's of the opinion that the role should not ever be recast. And this woman, I think her handle is like April Rain, REIGN or something like that. Anyway, I bet this woman has never picked up a comic book in her life. I'd be willing to bet that she's never read Black Panther comic books. So for her, the role not being recast doesn't have any impact or effect on her life. We, as comic book fans, collectors for 30, 40 plus years, we want to see these characters have full story arcs. You know, I don't need to see Iron Man anymore because he had a full, complete story arc. Captain America, full, complete story arc. You get one picture with T'Challa, and he was gone for a quarter of it, and you've not been able to delve.
He wasn't even a central figure. Like
he was not. It was
backup characters had bigger roles than he did.
Right. You know, so I've said it before in this space. I will not be watching Black Panther. I firmly believe that Black Panther 2, Wakanda Forever, needs to be boycotted until they remedy this bad decision. So.
All right. So let me finish my book so we can move on to talk about Black Panther, the current series. Other books that came out that I got, Strange Academy 18. This is a fantastic series. Disney Plus needs to rush to bring this into Disney Plus's roster. This is a comic book series that is designed to be on television. It's just fantastic series. Shout out to Scotty Young, the writer who knew who could write. I mean, we know Scotty Young from doing variant covers, but he's a fantastic writer. Humberto Ramos, who's a Milestone alum. Fantastic artwork. I love this series. I can't wait for it to come back. You had that issue of Hawkman, Black Adam precursor. I had the other variant cover for it.
Yeah, that's in my pull box. I haven't picked it up yet, but I have that in my pull box.
Really dope cover. I mean, that's just a dope, fantastic cover of all this. Just a beautiful work of art. I picked up this book, Captain America: Symbol of Truth #2. Now, I understand the reticence people have with Captain Falcon. I get it. He's his own dude. He shouldn't be Captain America. He should be Falcon. They should just give him a Falcon series again. But that being said, with that understanding, this right here was a dope book. Well written, black writer. They're exploring the fact that, you know, some vibranium's been stolen from Wakanda. White Wolf is in the book. You know, action-packed. The artwork is fantastic by Rafa Sandoval. I actually recommend this book. It's actually good. Ending up Land of the Living Gods. That was a fantastic series if you're into Afrofuturism as well.
Going back to Captain America real quick, there are 2 ongoing Captain America series. There's one with Sam Wilson, Captain America, and one with the original Steve Rogers. I just don't remember the name.
It's called Sentinel of Liberty. The good thing about that series is that they're exploring the origin of Captain America's shield. That was explored in Captain America 330, something like that. If I'm not mistaken, originally, there's some scientist, says, yeah, I made the shield. But, in the comic, he says, I basically was working really hard on the shield one night, fell asleep, and then the substance was there magically. I don't know how it happened. That's literally what the comic says. This old Captain America book. I was shocked to read it myself. And then so Captain America, Sentinel of Liberty, is exploring what happened when he fell asleep. As it turns out, this black scientist or engineer put the vibranium alloy together. So truly, Captain America's shield was built by a black man. So that was kind of dope. We always thought it had some type of Wakandan origin. We know that he is an African by his name. It sounds like an African name. We don't know if he's Wakandan per se. So that's actually not a bad series to explore as well. Next book up, Spider-Man 2099 Exodus. This is issue number 3. Introduction of the Black Panther of the future. His name is something. I almost want to say it's Tashawn, but it's something like that. But this, it's got this new Avengers team, Black Panthers. There's a new Moon Knight that actually lives on the moon. There's Spider-Man 2099, Miguel O'Hara, obviously the Hulk of the future. There's also a not Monica Rambeau, Captain Marvel, a black Captain Marvel of the future, on there as well. I just picked it up just for that. Hispanic Captain America, Hispanic woman. So, melanated adventures of the future. New Masters. Picked up the last issue of that. The X-Men have their Hellfire Gala going on. I picked up this cover because I have a code that if I see 3 black characters on the cover, I gotta get it, because these 3 black characters, seeing 3 black characters in a comic book cover, a mainstream comic, doesn't happen that often. So, had to get that. Picked up this series. I know you read a little bit of Batman. This is the Batman Beyond series, White Knight, Batman Beyond White Knight. This is Duke Thomas as Are you reading it?
Yep.
This is a dope series.
Yep.
This is a really dope series, and I was a little hesitant at first of Duke Thomas being Robin, because it's kind of like, well, Duke Thomas is Duke Thomas. He's the Signal. He just doesn't need to be Robin. It's kind of like the same argument with Falcon. Like, Falcon doesn't need to be Captain America, but this is actually well written and well executed. I mean,
this is the 3rd volume of that world. There is Batman: Curse of the White Knight.
I think this is like the 3rd or 4th volume of this whole universe.
Batman White Knight. No, that's just that one shot. I'm not sure, but they're about 3 or 4 volumes, and they're all really, really good. Where basically it's in the future. Bruce Wayne is older. He's going up against the Joker again, and Harley Quinn is involved. It demystifies. It goes back in history about the Waynes, who were supposedly old school founders of Gotham, and it's really good. It's really good. Batman: Curse of the White Knight is what it is.
Last book I want to talk about. I Am Batman. Now, I know people, again, have their issues with legacy characters, black characters playing white legacy characters. But let me tell you something. John Ridley knocks it out the park with this book. This book has been consistently good week after week, and it keeps getting better. I promise you, do not be disappointed with this book. The art is good. The story is good. Ridley is knocking us out the park, which brings me to my next point. Ridley, I respect you. I like your writing on this book. I liked your writing on the other history of the DC universe. But Black Panther #7,
That whole series sucks.
the whole series sucks. Let's just say it.
The whole series is bad. And I say that coming from the history of knowing the character. The character is based and built upon by writers who come after. For me, the best Black Panther writer, as far as a series is concerned, is Reginald Hudlin, followed very closely by Don McGregor. Number 3 for me would be Christopher Priest. Number 4 would be Jack Kirby. Number 5 would be Coates, and number 6 would be Ridley. The reason there are going to be spoilers because this book has been out for some time. If you haven't read it by now, that's on you. But he from issue 1 has shown nothing but disrespect to the character of T'Challa. T'Challa has been the monarch of Wakanda, let's say for in continuity in the comic books. He's been the monarch for at a bare minimum 10 years, I would say. Bare minimum, right? Probably longer than that. But he has shown that he loves his people. He has sacrificed on their behalf and on behalf of the planet. In issue 1, some of his own subjects were basically saying "fuck you" to T'Challa to his face. And I don't care who you are.
Phrasing.
There, if somebody has been a monarch like that, we're not talking about a dictator, but an actual king from a legacy of kings. In cultures like that, there is a reverence for that title, for that position, for that monarch that we as Americans don't really grasp, right?
Particularly when you have had monarchs in your country for 10,000 years.
Right. And so there is no way on God's green earth, I feel, that someone who has been born and raised in a society like that would tell their monarch basically "fuck you" to your face. Especially considering what all that he's done. That's from issue number 1 of what Ridley has done. And going forward, there are issues that I've had or problems that I've had with how the character has been portrayed. Another thing, one of the characters whose name I can't remember, who is kind of like an administrator in the government, the dude has blonde permed hair. He has blonde permed hair. He's an African in a nation that has never ever been conquered and has blonde permed hair, right?
This fool, right?
Whoever the artist was on this, whoever the editors were on this to let that go, all of them never need to set foot in or be allowed near this particular character. Black Panther has been built up.
Let me say something on this. Let me say something on this. They made a point in the Black Panther film even to point out that because this nation's never been conquered, they've never been colonized, they have not had that Western influence, nor do they require it. They don't recognize it. They know the West exists. They know Western styles exist. They have televisions.
They've actually gone into the world. I mean,
Let me finish. They're fully aware of Western styles. They reject it. Their view of beauty is based on their own culture. There is absolutely no reason that they would ever want to perm and blondify their hair in this fashion. Right. They made a point in the film where Okoye is wearing a wig and she's like, "This is absurd. This is absolutely absurd."
Yeah.
They made a point of making sure no women in the film had permed hair. No Wakandan had permed hair.
Right.
They all either had natural hair, locks, braids,
or
no
bald.
perm.
Most of the women were bald.
Or bald.
Yeah, because most of the women that we saw were the Dora, and they were all bald. And in addition, also with this, they have Wakandans speaking with an American voice.
American vernacular.
As much issues I have with the way that Coates wrote, he at least embodied the character in how I feel that the character has been developed over the past 50 years. T'Challa is regal. Shuri is regal. That is based on their bearing and demeanor and how they present themselves to the world. They're royalty. They've grown up with silver spoons in their mouths, and that's how they've been. That's how they presented themselves with the world. They're regular people, but they don't present themselves like regular people. And the way that he's got them talking like street people, and I just do not like it. Yeah, it's not good. It's not good. And then in this issue, in issue number 7, he has T'Challa begging. And listen, we all as human beings come to a point where we may need the assistance of others. We as human beings are fallible. None of us are perfect, myself included. And there are times when we all make mistakes. But I think that it could be agreed upon that if you've been reading this character, T'Challa has done any and everything for the benefit of Wakanda. When he joined the Avengers back in the day, he did so to try to figure out who the Avengers were, whether or not they were a threat or danger to Wakanda. He is Wakanda to his blood. And people would understand that. His subjects would understand that. And so for them to turn on him the way that Ridley has them doing is just... And another thing, going back to Coates. Hated Coates' writing. But I appreciate the fact that he has tried to build the relationship between Storm and T'Challa that was destroyed in Avengers versus X-Men unnecessarily. It was natural. Ridley, in 2 or 3 panels, just basically did away with that. I'm like...
He not only did away with it, he basically destroyed it for good.
He destroyed it and closed the door on it as if, yeah, okay, this is my closure.
Here's the panels that I really took issue with. He says, because I'm not asking you to restore me to the throne. I've been wrong at every single turn. For all the people I've tried to help, I've hurt just as many. That's just not factually true. T'Challa, if you follow Black Panther, has helped Wakanda far more than he's hurting. Now, if you want to make the argument, well, if it wasn't for you, Namor wouldn't have wiped out the city and caused all the deaths. Well, he wasn't in charge. Sure, he was during then, so that's not even on him. Well, the Skrulls invaded. Wakanda wiped the floor with them. Well, Thanos invaded. Also not Wakanda. Also not T'Challa's watch. That was actually Shuri. All these tragedies that he's supposedly blamed for wasn't him. He has been a very good leader for Wakanda. There's always been a theme throughout all of the Black Panther books from the very beginning, from Fantastic Four to Avengers, in which he's had this duality of, I'd rather be a superhero than a king. He's a begrudging king. That's always been the case. There's always been pushback from Wakandans of him being basically absent
leader. Yeah, because he spent most of his time in New York with the Avengers.
I get that. But guess what? This dude who was an absent leader for like a year because he was out in space without a memory came back and said, yeah, I'm back, everybody. Sorry, not my fault. By the way, Wakanda just got a hell of a lot bigger. We're now an intergalactic empire. You're welcome. You now have resources throughout the galaxy. You're welcome. You're now recognized throughout the galaxy. You're welcome. You now have riches beyond you can possibly imagine. You're welcome. He's an emperor. And now he's saying, well, I will never be your king. Well, okay. He's actually an emperor, so king is kind of a title that's technically beneath him, but all right. And then he says, in this final panel over here, there's nothing more to be said, only for me to beg. For the sake of Wakanda, please help me. Beg. Beg. When has T'Challa ever had to beg for anything? Right. He'll use reason. He'll explain. He's like, look, either help me or not, but he's not going to beg.
Right.
He say, look, Wakanda needs your help. He could have said this to Dora Milaje. You hate me? Fine. But I know that you love Wakanda. I know you love your people. The reason that you hate me is because you think I'm a bad leader and I have done wrong by the people, and you guys represent the people. Well, the people need your help. So don't do it for me, do it for them. That's how T'Challa talks. He would have used reason and said, don't do it for me. It's not about me, it's about them.
Ridley doesn't understand the character. I mean,
He doesn't understand the character
he
at all.
doesn't understand the character. You know, he doesn't understand the importance, to me at least, and to a lot of people, the relationship between T'Challa and Storm. Because this is a conversation that we've had on the Black Comic Lord or one of the other spaces about romantic relationships in comic books, specifically involving Black people. And rarely do we have the long-lasting romantic relationships that white characters have had. And I'm going to run through a couple of them. Reed and Sue, Mary Jane and Peter, Ben and Alicia. Those are three off the top of my head in Marvel. Going over to DC, you've got Superman and Lois. You've got Batman and Selena, or Batman and whoever else he was, in a relationship with. In comic books involving Black superheroes, we don't have that long-lasting relationship that shows love between two strong Black characters.
None.
That's why Hudlin will always be the number one Black Panther writer for me, because he developed that storyline and that thread. In one of these spaces, somebody said that he didn't like the fact that T'Challa and Storm were together because it wasn't canon, blah, blah, blah. It wasn't canonical, were his words. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. They were put together back in 1980 with the Marvel 2-in-1 number 100, I think it was. And Hudlin took that little kernel of information, the one and only time that it was done once, and he developed a whole storyline over this that crossed over all of Marvel. He will always get mad props from me for that. And that is something that me as a fan want to see. And that's something that little kids need to see, that, hey, you can have two powerful, strong, intelligent Black people who are superheroes and also be in love with each other, who may have brief disagreements, go their separate ways, and then because of love, find themselves back together again.
Yeah, I mean, I've had the honor of
Sue has left Reed numerous times, but at the end of the day, they always end up back together and have raised an entire family. Yeah. T'Challa needs that. Storm needs that. Black superheroes and Black fans need that as well.
Hashtag Black Super Love. I mean, I've had the honor of actually interviewing Reggie Hudlin, and he was very intentional with that relationship with Storm and T'Challa. Like, he knew what he was doing and the importance of it, and that's why he did it. He was not happy when he found out that they broke them up like that.
And there was no reason for it. I mean,
there were political reasons for it at Marvel, because they were of their issue with the X-Men and 20th Century Fox not giving them the rights. But they could have done a storyline where their relationship was strained as a result, and done a Romeo and Juliet story, where you have these two people that are two lovers who have these two warring families, and yet they want to maintain their relationship. They could have done that, but no.
There's a lot that they could have done.
Here's the panels. Here's the panels which I will truly detest forever. You got Storm saying to T'Challa, "For all you got wrong as a king, there's a whole lot you got right. The problem is, when you are a leader, you can never afford to get anything wrong. I sit here now thinking of the lives I've shattered. Jai's, Omala's, yours. Aurora, can you ever forgive me? I'll always care for you going forward as a friend rather than a partner. But if you're asking me to forgive you, it's like you said, a leader's got to get it right more than they get it wrong. And the voice of soul, I can't give you respect where there's none given. I can't forgive you, my love. And for that, I am truly sorry." So he is permanently friend zoned by Aurora. I like you, I love you, but I don't. But hold on.
We know that in the future they end up together.
She basically says, "I like you, I love you, but I don't respect you."
And she may overcome that, but I won't say that their relationship is over completely, because in a variety of alt-world, future world stories, Storm and T'Challa end up together. I mean, a lot of different ones. So I'm not gonna close the door on that forever, but
it's right closed. Now, it's closed under this fool's run.
That didn't need to be done. I mean,
it's just unnecessary. It was unnecessary. I mean, and for all those people that are saying, well, there's other Black relationships. You guys are always just focused on Black Panther.
What other ones are there?
What other ones that are in an ongoing comic book? There is Miles Morales and Starling, which they only bring that up like once every 10 issues or so.
And that's relatively new.
That's it. There are no Black super love relationships in Marvel Comics in an ongoing series.
Luke Cage with Jessica Jones, white chick.
That's not super love. We're talking two Black characters in love who are superpowered. There's none in an ongoing series.
Nope.
And the greatest one, the most powerful one of all time, in terms of when I say power, I don't mean power levels, because that would be Spectrum and Blue Marvel. I'm talking power in terms of their significance and their effect on the overall Marvel universe.
Yeah,
David Harper says, didn't like Falcon not having a woman in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Oh, didn't like Falcon not having a woman in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Yeah, well, I mean, he's with Misty Knight now, but that's not an ongoing series, unfortunately.
And I don't like the fact that they're passing women around. I mean, I understand that they're traveling in these same circles or whatever, but Misty Knight, for those who don't know, was with Danny Rand, aka Power Fist, for generations. I mean, going back to the 1970s, those two characters were paired together. So, I understand that they would meet, they travel in the same circles, et cetera, et cetera. I absolutely understand it. I get it. But something about that, shared community vagina, I just don't like. No need for that.
I mean, I think that's a bit much. I mean, she hasn't had that many relationships.
No, I'm not saying that she has, but she's had one prominent relationship with another superhero.
It didn't work out, and she's moved on to and upgraded.
Whether she upgraded or not, the fact remains is that they could create another character or somebody else for Sam without him having to get Danny Rand's leftovers. I mean, look at T'Challa. He was with Misty Knight. I didn't mean that. I'm sorry. Monica Lynn for a very, very, very long time, right? You haven't seen Monica Lynn in forever. You haven't seen her pop up.
She's dead.
Okay, well, I don't remember that. But at the end of the day, she didn't pop up with somebody else. They had Storm with Forge for a very long time, flirted around with maybe Wolverine or whatever, but then she was with T'Challa, like her first love. That makes perfect sense to me. They could have created somebody else for her. And I just want them to have Black love in the comic books. Everybody else, white characters get it all the time, but we don't. I just don't.
And I think it's a bigger overall issue that there's just not enough Black ongoing characters in comics. They're not. There's Miles Morales and Black Panther. That's literally it. They have miniseries, right?
And this is of course excluding Milestone.
Well, yes. I'm talking specifically about Marvel right now. There's no ongoing Black titles except for Miles Morales and Black Panther. They have miniseries. There's this Captain America series we talked about. There's a Moon Girl series that's, I guess, doing a few issues. I'm sure there's some other ones I haven't thought of, but there's no real ongoing series. So you're not going to get the opportunity to even have an ongoing Black relationship. It'd be great if they were to put two Black characters in a team book and have them have a relationship, like You could have put Bishop and Tempo in Marauders together, but they ended up making Tempo gay, apparently.
Are Bishop and Storm related?
There's a lot of conjecture about it. There was an issue that said that Storm might be his great-great-grandmother, but they never fleshed that out. It was alluded to, but it was never fleshed out.
The reason why I asked that specific question is on one of the pages, somebody said that they wanted Storm and Bishop to get together, which kind of...
That's just Herschel. He's always trying to start controversy.
Okay, well, which would kind of make sense, but whoever wrote it, it may have been Herschel or whomever. They were like, oh well, I understand why they didn't, which gave the implication that they were related. And I don't know if I've ever seen that anywhere. Have you seen that anywhere that they were related? I don't.
Yeah, it was in some old X-Men comic books. I don't remember which ones. It's a long time ago. It's a good 20 years ago.
So
back when they were exploring the origins of Bishop and where he's from, and they showed his camp that he grew up in, the mutant camps, and his great-grandmother looked a lot like Storm, but they didn't outright say she was Storm.
Right.
So,
well, going back to the topic at hand, we need some Black love in the comic books, and
so
Ridley destroying this relationship unnecessarily just really, really pisses me off.
Look, I've said for a couple of years now, if you've watched any of these lives, you've heard me say this. My fear for the Black Panther comic is what's happening right now. What's happening right now, I've literally predicted 2 years ago, which is that Marvel is going to make the conscious decision in the comics to make the narrative in the comics fit what they've got going on for whatever they have planned for the MCU. So if they decided that in the MCU, T'Challa's not going to be around, the next logical step for them is to make it consistent in the comics and have T'Challa not be around. And that's what's going to happen. That's what's been going to happen. The same day that issue 7 came out, and they knew what they were doing with issue 7. They were having him dishonored, disgraced, taken down as king, lose his girl, lose the respect of his own sister, have him begging for help, have him get cursed out by everybody, and have his replacement in training, his heir apparent with Tosin, get some shine, all in the same issue. And on that same day, what does Marvel do? They decide to release that they have got a brand new Wakanda comic book coming out called Wakanda, right? A Black Panther spin-off series, except Black Panther's not in it. There's no mention of T'Challa being in this series. It's going to center on maybe, Black Panthers in the past, other Wakandans, not T'Challa. They did it the same day that they completely broke this character down and made him, for all intents and purposes, irrelevant. Marvel knows what it's doing. About
4 years ago, and I'll tell you exactly when it was. Let's see. There was a story called World of Wakanda. And it was written by Roxanne Gay, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And World of Wakanda was a phenomenal story. It was not Black Panther, it was not T'Challa-centric.
Right.
It was involving ancillary characters. It was an extremely good story. And I mention that because you had that story running in conjunction with the Coates run on Black Panther. So he being T'Challa was not sidelined. You were just having an expansion of the mythos of Wakanda and its people. What Paul is saying is that he fears that T'Challa himself will be sidelined will not have his own book, and it will just focus
Correction.
on the ancillary
Feared.
characters of
Correction.
Wakanda, like
Feared past
Shuri,
tense.
like Okoye, and everybody else.
Feared past tense. It's come to fruition. Everything I feared has now happened.
So, Rise of the Black Panther was good, and The World of Wakanda was very, very good. Roxane Gay can write. She's a good
The
writer.
Rise of the Black Panther was actually done by Evan Narcisse, who's an excellent writer. And I believe he's one of the writers of this new Wakanda series.
Yeah. But World of Wakanda was a 6-issue limited series that came out in 2016. So God dogs, 6 years ago at this point.
Yeah.
It was very well done. It was extremely well done. But
So
I have no interest in reading anything else about. I've struggled with actually dropping this run of Black Panther, but I don't want to be in a position 20 years from now, if I'm still drawing breath, that I don't have those issues when I could have gotten them first run.
Because we're Black Panther collectors, we're completionists, so we
But
have.
right.
It's kind of like we're being held hostage,
Right.
and because we are fans of the character,
Yep.
and we are collectors of the character,
Yep.
we're being held hostage and being forced to buy a book that we dislike.
Yep.
Because we have to complete the run because we're collectors of the character.
I don't have ADD, however, as a collector of comic books in general, and this character specifically, I feel it is a requirement for me to have all of his appearances, all of his run.
Right.
And, I'm just not happy about it. I'm sure Ridley doesn't care what we, the fans, think because he's getting his check. But, this run has not been good. And I didn't think anybody could do worse than Coates. Well, I was wrong.
Yeah, you and I disagree on Coates. I think Coates, in retrospect, is going to be viewed as not as bad as people have made him out to be. In fact, I think he'll get his props years from now.
That's like saying George Bush was not as bad when you compare him to Donald Trump. So
that's absolutely a good analogy.
So let's just take that with a grain of damn salt. So anyway.
All right. So one of the things that also came out this week, I talked about the leaked rumors about Black Panther 2. They announced I guess this is last week. They dropped the picture of the new Namor. Let's show that.
Don't know how I feel about that. I don't know this actor who's playing Namor. They're taking it in an Aztec direction, which I guess
either Aztec or Mayan. They're not clear.
Right. Something Central American, South American, whatever, and that's fine. More Hispanic. Namor McKenzie, who was the father of Namor, was a white dude who impregnated Namor's mother, who was an Atlantean. Obviously, they're retconning it if this is the direction that they're taking.
It's a total quote unquote race swap.
Right. Because I've always wanted. There are a couple of people who I've wanted for this role. I thought that role should have perhaps gone to an Asian, because a lot of times the way that Namor is portrayed, he looks like an Asian person, or he actually looks like Leonard Nimoy, quite frankly. In a lot of
Henry Golding would have been a perfect actor to play Namor.
He's not bad. I like Henry Golding. He was not my choice.
Also, Luke. What's the guy's name? Luke something. The guy who played Dracula.
Hold on a second. He played in the. If you're talking about who I'm thinking about, yes. He played in The Alienist, and you were talking about Luke Evans. Yes, I was right.
Luke Evans. Yes, Luke Evans.
Pull his picture up if you would. Luke Evans would have been perfect. The only issue, perhaps, is his age. Well, he's not that old. He's 42.
He's in good shape.
Yeah. Yes. He's a good-looking dude. He's 42. He would have been a good Namor. He can act. He can act. Luke Evans could act. He's not played a superhero character before. I fan cast this one dude years ago from I want to say Hawaii 5-0, but not the dude.
Daniel Day Kim.
Not him, but somebody else. But he would have been a good person to play the role. pull up a picture of Luke Evans if you would, so people who can see what I'm talking about.
Yeah, this is him when it was believed that the title of the original Black Panther 2 was going to be Two Kings. I honestly believe that they were going to do a Black Panther 2 Kings movie where you're going to have T'Challa and Namor go up
Right,
against.
before, right.
So that's what this was called, was to Black Panther 2 Kings. I honestly believe that was probably the original title.
There's an actor named Rich Ting, Richting. He was fan cast by one of my Facebook friends as Namor. He would have been good. And I'm not saying this actor, whoever he is going to be bad. I'm not. But there are other individuals who could have done the role as well. I'm not going to see the movie anyway, so I'm going to have to rely on other people to tell me how well he did, how well his portrayal was. I just think it's kind of odd that they're going in this direction with the whole Central American, South American aspect, with with the Aztec or Mayan culture. I understand they're trying to go for diversity, but I don't know. Where was Atlantis rumored to be? Do you know? Was it in on the coast of Africa? Was it on the coast of South America?
In the MCU, they're talking about how they saw that the underground earthquake off the coast of Africa.
Right.
So, but they didn't say which coast. Now, Wakanda's more Eastern Africa located in the MCU.
I thought it was Central, but okay.
It's east of center when they showed the map. So, if they're picking up on it, that would make it in the Pacific Ocean, right? North of Madagascar. So that's kind of an interesting thing.
Like I said, I'm going to rely on the word of others on how well the portrayal is, but it just seems an odd choice. And I understand they're trying to create diversity and things of that nature, but it just seems odd. Speaking of diversity, did you watch Miss Marvel?
Love Ms. Marvel. You know what's interesting about Miss Marvel is for me it was particularly gratifying because it's the first Marvel anything that both my wife and my daughter agreed to watch together with me, and my daughter was truly excited for it. Like when I said, "Hey, it's Wednesday," I remember coming home one day and she goes, "Daddy, guess what?" I was like, "What?" "It's Wednesday." I was like, "Yeah." "It's Ms. Marvel Day. It's a new episode. We got to watch it." And she was terribly excited, and I was excited to be able to share that experience with her. She really loved the series, and if my daughter could get into it, that means there's a lot of other little girls out there that equally got into seeing a girl like they could identify with as a superhero, and that's a tremendously powerful image and expression to see. So for that alone, I truly love the series. It was well done.
It was good. I don't think it was the best Disney Plus series, but I absolutely enjoyed it. It was filmed here in Atlanta. It was cool seeing landmarks that I recognized. For example, the mosque where they were, the exterior of the mosque was basically the Fox Theater, which is on Peachtree Street in downtown Atlanta.
Was it? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, check your messages. The dude who I initially fan cast was this guy by the name of Ian Anthony Dale. But I thought it was cute. The young lady who plays Miss Marvel was perfect.
And she's a genuine comic book fan. Like
she knows her stuff.
She read Ms. Marvel before she even auditioned for the role. Like she was already a collector.
Why she got the role? Because one of her family members told her about it because she was a fan. She sent in a tape or whatever. She was perfect for it. The woman who plays her grandmother, I saw a video of her on Twitter. I don't remember her name, but my goodness. A lot of the people who they have as characters are actual Pakistani actors who are well known over there. very, very good. It was well done.
And I love the fact that they did kind of a history lesson.
Yes. So I saw somebody on Twitter say that they didn't know about the division of India into Pakistan, but they learned about it because of this show.
Right.
Did you recognize the kid who played the dude who wore the red sash?
Yes, from Into the Badlands.
Yes, that was MK. Into the Badlands was a series on AMC that lasted 2, maybe 3 seasons. It was in a post-apocalyptic world. A lot of martial art. It was a very well done series. One of the things that I liked about Into the Badlands, this is a tangent, but most of the actors on there were not martial artists. But the way the fight choreography and the camera angles did that series made regular folks look like martial artists. Like Nick Frost is a chubby, fat dude from Shaun of the Dead, and he does a lot with Simon Pegg. They made him look like an actual martial artist.
Yeah.
That series dropped around the same time that Iron Fist did, and Iron Fist was just god awful. So I just
the lead on that actor, who's a brilliant martial artist himself, he recently popped up on the last couple episodes of Westworld.
I don't watch Westworld. Is that any good?
Oh yeah, dude. You don't watch Westworld? That's shocking. That's an excellent series.
Yeah. Did you watch Raised by Wolves?
I watched the first several episodes. I never finished the first season.
I watched the first season, and I'm on season 2. I enjoy it for a couple of reasons. Number one of my favorite actors out there who should be a huge star, but is not, named Travis Fimmel. He was the lead actor in the first few seasons of the show Vikings. Very good actor. He's in that. But the dude who plays Father, who is basically a robot, he's one of my fan casts for T'Challa. He's like my number 2 now. You know who I'm talking about, obviously, right?
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. But no, I don't watch Westworld. I want to say I watched.
His name is Abu Bakr Salim.
Yeah. He's my number 2. Obviously, Damson Idris is my number 1. He's number 2, and
you moved him all the way up to number 2 ahead of
Sope Dirisu. Yes,
Gangs of London.
Sope Dirisu. Yes, I did. Click that third picture, if you would. I see T'Challa.
Well, what's interesting is look at this outfit he's wearing here. This is similar to the outfit that T'Challa wore
when he went
in
to
the last part of the movie.
Yep.
I forget the name of the designer who does this, but obviously he's wearing the same designer's outfit.
I don't like the hair because it looks like his hair is colored.
Yeah, he colored it orange in that, but that's the same color he was probably filming at the time,
right?
Because that's the same color he has here,
right,
on the television show.
But that third picture, and I think he's a really good actor. He's physically fit. The only quote unquote issue is he's sub 6 feet, but he presents himself as tall. He's like 5'10". But,
I would not have realized that he's less than 6 feet until you just
right, because he presents himself as a taller actor. There are people who are saying that they wouldn't mind having John Boyega as T'Challa, but
way too short. I'm a huge fan of John Boyega, and I think he could pull off the role. If you look at the trailer for the new movie, the Warrior Women movie with Viola Davis.
Oh yeah.
What's it called?
Warrior Woman. The Warrior Woman. The Warrior Woman.
No, it's like something King. The Woman King, I think it's called.
I'll tell you in a second.
Something like that. But if you look at him in that film, he looked like he could play T'Challa, except he's about a foot too short.
Yeah, he's about 5'8", 5'9". I think that's way too short. But this guy, he plays a robot in this series, and even though he's a robot, he he plays a robot well. Let me say it that way. And I saw an interview with him, and I'm like, oh, this dude can act. He's really good. He's really, really good. So he's my number 2 over Sope Darasu. Sope, you know, with all due respect to his acting, with all due respect to his physicality, from a optical standpoint, this dude looks better than Sope. Because I don't think women would swoon over him. Women swooned over Chadwick. Women would definitely swoon over Damson. I don't think that they would over Sope.
I know that's women.
So, but yeah, the dude can act. Yeah, he can act. I'm impressed with him. So, have you modified your list going back to this whole recast T'Challa? T'Challa should be recast in the MCU. Who are your top 5?
Damson Idris still remains my number 1.
Yep, mine too.
Sope Darasu is my number 2.
Okay.
I like this guy. I'm not certain where he fits on the list. I mean, we've got the Stephen James guy. We've got who else was on the list? Not Trevante Rhodes, because I know
God, no.
Guy can't act that well, but
no. Whenever, I have to catch myself whenever I see somebody mention Trevante Rhodes or John David Washington as replacement for
John David Washington's not even remotely.
Listen, let me tell you something. John David Washington was phenomenal. John David Washington was good on Ballers, right? He was within his wheelhouse. He was basically playing himself. He was a former football player at my alma mater, Morehouse, right? He did well on that. But I've seen him in The Black Klansman. I've seen him in Tenet. I've seen him in Of Gods and Men. There's nothing about John David Washington that impresses me as an actor. Trevante Rhodes. Physically, women may like and people may like the way he looks. I am interested to see how he plays Mike Tyson. He looks like he actually might be good in that. But I've seen most of his work in Bird Box, in Billie Holiday versus United States, and a couple other things, 13 Strong. Trevante Rhodes is not a strong actor, and I find myself anytime somebody suggests those two specifically as replacements, wanting to chastise these people and say, what are you thinking about? These guys cannot act. But I'm trying to do better and not engage in those conversations because everybody's entitled to their opinion, of course. But for me, my top 5 actors to replace Chadwick, number 1 is Damson Idris. Number 2 is the young man you just showed who was from Raised by Wolves. Number 3, of course, is Sope Darasu. Number 4 is the brother from Jingle Jangle, who was also in the Umbrella Academy as number 1 from the Sparrow Academy.
Oh, I didn't even realize that was the same dude.
Yep. He's 6'4", he's 33. Not a bad actor.
They made him look a lot younger for the Umbrella Academy.
Yeah, right. So, yeah. So he's my number 4. And then Stephen James is my number 5.
That's a good list.
Stephen James, for those who don't know, played in Race, and he as Jesse Owens. He also played in 21 Bridges with Chadwick Boseman, and he was in the series, I think it's called Homecoming or something like that on Netflix, Amazon.
What about Nate Parker?
No. Nate Parker has too much baggage, unfortunately. I think also, all due respect to him, he's too light-skinned for the role. He's a caramel complexion. I would want somebody darker. Plus the fact his age. I want to say he's probably around, at this point, like 41, 42. I'd want somebody sub 40. Somebody under 40 to play the role. And yes, I understand that Chadwick was however old he was. But
he was 30, I think he was 36 when he first took the first role.
Chadwick was over 40 when he... So you're talking about in 2016
when he played in Civil War. I think he was about 36.
Yes, he may have been. But and I like Nate Parker, right? I fan cast Nate Parker in The Bitter Root, series that's supposed to be a movie at some point. Let's see. Nate Parker. Yeah, Nate Parker is 42. And I'd want somebody younger. Plus, he's not that tall, even though he presents as taller. He's like 5'10" himself. I don't think he's 6 feet. But there's a lot of drama surrounding him, and I don't want that drama to pop back up the way it did when he created The Birth of a Nation. That movie, if you have not seen it, that movie should have been Oscar nominated, and it was not due to the controversy surrounding him. For those who don't know, Nate Parker is an actor who has been around Hollywood for 15, 20 years. He was in Red Tails. He was in a plethora of movies with no issue. However, when he created the movie The Birth of a Nation, which came out in 2016, an old issue with him popped back up. Nate was put on trial for rape for an issue that occurred when he was in college. He was acquitted. That means he was found not guilty. And another way to say it is he was innocent of the charges of rape. Fast forward 10 years after his acquittal, the alleged victim in the case committed suicide, right? She was married at the time. People were trying to say that the reason she committed suicide was due to the issues that she had back in college, ignoring her history prior to that incident, ignoring her history after that incident. All of that came to a boil in 2015, 2016, when this movie was released. None of this came out when Nate was in Red Tails. None of this came out when he was in Pride or The Great Debaters or any number of movies that he was in. Only when he created a movie about a black hero did all this stuff come out. So I say all that to say, were he placed in the position of T'Challa, I feel that that stuff would rear its ugly head again. And I just don't want that to happen.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the name of this actor. There's an actor who's rumored to be in the Marvels movie.
Yes.
Ms. Marvel.
That dude can act. He was in that movie with J-Lo, and he was in, because I fan cast him as, I don't remember. I want to say I may have fan cast him as T'Challa. I probably did. There's a series about an alien invasion, and he was in that, and he did really, really good. I think
his name is Jan Rog.
That doesn't sound familiar.
No, that's not his name. That's the name of the character.
Shamir Anderson.
Is that his name?
Shamir Anderson. Shamier Anderson. It is suggested that he is playing Adam Brashear in the movie The Marvels. And that's why he wouldn't have been my top choice. But okay, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, if you can, pull a picture of him up. And he can act. He's a very good actor. He was in Race too with Stephen James.
Was he?
Yeah. I don't know who he played, but yeah. The movie with there was another movie that he was in that I saw called Awake that was on Netflix. But yeah.
Yeah, so
I can see Just T'Challa without the beard and stuff, yeah.
Or just a shorter beard. T'Challa's fine with a beard with me. Look, the Blue Marvel is the most underutilized superpowered character. There's two really mega superpowered black characters in Marvel's universe that are tremendously underutilized. And they potentially may both be in this Marvel's movie. That's Monica Rambeau and Adam Brashear.
Yep.
Who are also a couple in the comics.
Neither of which have their own title.
What?
Neither of which have their own title.
Correct. Like neither one of them have their own title. They're both in team books at present. Monica Rambeau is in Thunderbolts. Adam Brashear is in the latest Defenders book, which By the way, it was a very good issue. The very first issue
Yeah,
was
it's in my box to pick up. I didn't pick it up on Wednesday, but it's in my box.
yeah, the Defenders Beyond, very Blue Marvel centered issue. If you're a fan of the Blue Marvel, you definitely want to pick up Defenders Beyond issue number 1 because it centers around him primarily. Those two people are tremendously powered. I mean, they're the two most powerful characters, superheroes in Marvel's universe. I don't say that lightly. In terms of superheroes, not characters, but superheroes on Earth. They're among the most powerful there are. And then to have the two of them be a couple together, that's huge. And they're not utilized anywhere. They don't have their own ongoing titles. They're on team books, which is fine for now. It's better than nothing. Because a couple months ago, I would have clamored to have either one of them show up in a book. They're both in ongoing titles right now, so I'm happy about that. Even though they're team books. If this brother shows up as Blue Marvel, and it's a 2-part thing, not only have him show up as Blue Marvel, 3-part thing. Have him be the Blue Marvel, not just a little cameo in the end credit scene where, oh yeah, he lights up his hand and it's like, oh my God, he's Blue Marvel. Something substantive. Have him put on a suit. That was my problem with Tiana Paris's role in WandaVision is she never got her super suit.
Well, in fact, they set it up though. So I don't personally.
I understand that they set it up, but there's something significant about wearing your super suit.
She'll have it in the Marvels.
She'll hopefully have it in Marvels. But I want him to be a superhero. I don't want it to be just a cameo appearance. I certainly don't want you being a end credit scene where you find out he's got superpowers. I want him to be a superhero on screen. And then thirdly, have him not be depowered too much. All MCU characters are depowered.
So then it would be par for the course if he was as well. So I wouldn't take an issue with that.
Listen to what I said. I chose my words carefully. I don't want him depowered too much. All MCU characters are depowered. None of the MCU characters are as powerful as they are in the comics. Not a single one. But I don't want him to be depowered too much, where it's unrecognizable to who he is in the comics, because he's tremendously powerful in the comics.
Okay, let me ask you this. I'm gonna interject here. The other day, Watch Mojo, who I enjoy watching that channel on YouTube, they finally had a non-white person host a list. And the list that they hosted was the top 10 most powerful Marvel characters who have not yet appeared in the MCU.
He's got to be on that list. There's no way he's not.
He is. He's number 9 of people, right? So my question is this. Who do you think is more powerful, Sentry or Blue Marvel?
Well, if you're going by their encounter, they're pretty evenly balanced, because Sentry, Blue Marvel knocked the Sentry out in their first encounter in his own book. But Sentry came right back. They basically fought to a standstill in the comics. So it's a little unclear. But Sentry was touted as Marvel's most powerful hero. And then Blue Marvel comes around and cold cocks the dude. So what does that say about him?
On that list, hold on a second.
And Blue Marvel, for all intents and purposes, is damn near a god. He's immortal. His aging has decreased significantly because of his superpowers. He's been around since, the Korean War, and he still looks like a guy in his prime mid-80s.
Yeah. All right. So Watch Mojo came out with their list a few days ago, less than a week. And they counted it down of the top 10 most powerful characters in Marvel who have yet to appear in the movies. Number 10 is Wonder Man. Number 9 is Blue Marvel. Number 8 is Galactus.
Yeah.
Number 7 is Annihilus. They have Annihilus ranked over Galactus. Number 6 is Sentry. Number 5 is Molecule Man. Number
Silver
4,
Surfer's got to be in the list.
number who?
Silver Surfer.
Number 4 is Sidorak. Number 3 is
Sidorak.
Mephisto. Number 2 is Beyonder, and number 1 is the one above all. They did not have Silver Surfer. I did not even think about that. But they do not have Silver Surfer. They do not have Hyperion. And they have Blue Marvel at number 9 with Annihilus over Galactus, which makes no sense to me. And
well, at least he made the list because, arguably Hyperion and Silver Surfer should have been on the list too.
Yep, they should have. They should have. But the way I did the list is my number 10 was Wonder Man. Number 9 was Annihilus. Number 8 was Sentry. Number 7 was Blue Marvel because they're practically even. Number 6 was Mephisto. Number 5, Sidorak. 4, Galactus. Molecule Man, Beyonder, and one above all.
Aggressively Relaxing says, in his opinion, Blue Marvel's intellect gives him the edge in his opinion. I agree. I mean, I think if you're talking about a protracted battle, I think Blue Marvel takes Sentry because he's brilliant. He'll figure out a way to beat him. And he's had decades to master his abilities. And his abilities are fairly extensive.
So here's the question that I have in comic books. What's more powerful, cosmic powers or mystic powers? And the reason why I ask that is because you have the demons on there, Mephisto and Sidorak, and then you have Galactus. Who's more powerful?
Well, the thing with the mystic powers is one of the things they always bring up in Doctor Strange comic books is that there are rules to the mystical and the supernatural. So if you take power from one place, it's coming from somewhere else. So in that regard, there are limitations to mystical power because if you choose to do something that's incredibly powerful, there's a consequence you have to pay for it somewhere else. Cosmic power things don't have that limitation. If you're cosmic powered, you're cosmic powered. There's no end level to the amount of power that you can wield short of destroying the universe or the multiverse.
So, for example, and I hear what you're saying. So, realistically, who's more powerful? Galactus or Dormammu? Their power sets are different, right? Mm-hmm. So, who would you say is more powerful? Now, personally, I think cosmic powers are more powerful, and I guess this may go to.
I think cosmic powers in the long run are more powerful if your cosmic powers extend to your ability to bend reality and to travel between dimensions, between universes. And that's what many cosmic powers can do. Mystical powers can do similar things as well, but there are limitations to it, and there are costs that you have to pay for doing that. Those costs don't exist for cosmic powered beings.
Yeah. There are certain battles, back in the day. Okay, Marvel and DC, obviously. Hold on. The one above all is a weird choice. You have Magic versus Science. What happens if Juggernaut runs into the Blob? Okay, I don't know about that. But one of the things that I would like to see, back in the day, there were a couple of books that pitted Marvel versus DC characters. Now, some books had them occupying the same universe. Other books had them in different realities. For example, there's a great book, the Teen Titans versus the X-Men. They inhabited the same universe. I love that book. If you don't have it, see if you can find it. I don't know if Paul can pull up that picture. But anyway, there are other books where you had the DC versus the Marvel Universe, where there was a 4 or 5 issue limited series where you had heroes from both universes fighting each other. Then you had the Justice League versus the Avengers, which was also a good read, 4-issue limited series. There are battles that I would really, really like to see. For example, speaking of Dormammu, I would like to see Dormammu a a mystical being versus Trigon, who is a demon who is the father of Raven.
Raven.
Yeah, yeah. That's a battle that I would like to see. What type of cross-issue battles or cross-universe battles would you like to see?
Dr. Voodoo versus Dr. Mist.
I'm not familiar with Dr. Mist, but okay.
He's Dr. Voodoo. He's Dr. Voodoo of the DC universe.
I've never seen him come. I've never come across him yet.
Yeah.
So Dr. Fate versus Dr. Strange.
Yeah, Dr. Fate versus Dr. Strange.
Who else?
In the mystical realm?
I mean, just at all. At all. Marvel versus DC.
Marvel versus DC.
Yep.
It'd be interesting to see Black Panther go up against Deathstroke.
That would be a good one.
Or Wolverine versus Deathstroke.
Wolverine takes that one.
I guess Wolverine has a more powerful healing factor, right?
Yeah, Wolverine takes that one. Plus, I would say that he's faster. In the Justice League versus in the DC versus Marvel book, they had Wolverine go up against Lobo, and Wolverine won that one. I don't think that's right. These Fortnite comics are almost a DC Marvel team up. I'm not familiar with that at all. Are you?
Yeah, there are presently some Fortnite comics that Marvel's doing where it's basically these Fortnite video game characters mashed up with Marvel characters.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that. Okay, so who else?
Versus.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to think of who would be a good Green Lantern person in the DC universe to go up against.
Quasar.
Okay.
They both use light constructs. Which Green Lantern, though?
Doesn't matter.
No. I've said it at the beginning of this, you need to watch the Green Lantern animated movie with Jon Stewart. It's very, very good.
We'll try and watch that this weekend.
Yeah. But Quasar versus Green Lantern. Who else? Superman versus Hyperion or Sentry or somebody like that. That would be good.
Mm-hmm. Although it was interesting is Hyperion has his own kryptonite. It's been revealed now.
Really?
Yeah. In the Heroes Reborn storyline, it's revealed that Hyperion does have a vulnerability to a substance.
The recent Heroes Reborn or the one?
Yes, the recent one.
Okay, I didn't get that one.
And guess what the substance is?
Lead.
No.
What?
Vibranium.
Okay.
Vibranium is Hyperion's kryptonite.
Okay. All right. So let's see who else. Black Adam versus who? Black Adam versus Gladiator would be a good one.
Black Adam versus Gladiator of the Shi'ar. I take it, right?
Yes.
I don't know. I still think Black Adam takes that because A, his powers are mystical based, so that's unpredictable. And B, his powers, the powers of Shazam. There's a lot of different powers. I mean, Gladiator has strength, vulnerability, flight, and speed, right?
And intelligence, yeah. The wisdom of Solomon, or whoever they use for Shazam, yeah.
I said Black Adam. I meant to say Gladiator. Gladiator has strength and vulnerability, the ability to fly.
I-beams, yeah.
He has I-beams? I don't remember that. He does?
I think he does. Pretty sure he does. You know who would be good? Thor versus Wonder Woman.
Thor versus Wonder Woman.
But ultimately, I think he would end up screwing her.
Like, literally?
In the biblical sense.
Yeah, I mean, Was there a comic where they were? I don't know.
Wonder Woman and Conan met up.
Did they?
Hmm
When was
Written
that?
by I almost said Gail King, by Gail. What is her name? She's really heavy on Twitter. Gail something. I can't remember her name. I'll tell you in a second. But it was actually a pretty good book.
Hmm.
But yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing that. Who else? Who would be a good battle for Cyborg?
In the Marvel universe?
Yep.
Iron Man.
That's what I was thinking. But I think that would be, I mean, Cyborg would just hack Iron Man's suit in
Yeah,
like,
I think it'd be a very short battle. I think
Yeah,
Cyborg would
yeah.
ultimately win.
yeah.
His mother box would be able to compete with anything Tony
Deathlock?
could. The same thing. I think he'd be able to hack Deathlock. His mother box is kind of a game changer.
Who would Spider-Man be good going against?
In the DC universe, Blue Beetle.
I would say Blue Beetle versus Iron Man. Because they're basically uniforms or armor and tech. So I would say Blue Beetle versus Iron Man. Who else?
I don't know what the Spider-Man equivalent would be in the DC universe.
Since we're speaking about Spider-Man, and this is for anybody who happens to still be watching, who's got the best rogues gallery, Batman or Spider-Man?
I would say Spider-Man because his rogues gallery is actually mostly superpowered.
Yo, speaking of Spider-Man, have you been reading? You don't read Spider-Man, do you?
I don't. However, I have read the last several issues that have centered around Tombstone.
Very
well written. Very well written.
Very good.
I actually stopped collecting Spider-Man a while ago, but I picked it up this Tombstone storyline because it was really good. It literally redefined the villain Tombstone.
For those who don't know, Tombstone is basically a street level thug who is
no longer.
I'm sorry.
I said no longer. He's not just simply a street level.
I was getting to that. Basically, he's got super strength, but not on the par of the Hulk or Superman or anything like that. He's a very strong guy, but he's basically a mobster. He's a black dude who suffers from albinoism, and
it's like Marc froze. But yes, from Harlem, black, albino, strength, and vulnerability.
Organization. Right? And the storyline is very, very good because there are some tangential parts. Tombstone has a daughter. The daughter is dating Peter Parker's roommate. His roommate is the son of the editor of the Daily Bugle. So there's a whole bunch of connections there. That storyline is really
Joe Robinson.
Right.
Like
Robbie Robinson and Joe Robinson, I think.
Yeah.
Robbie Robinson is the father who used to work for J. Jonah Jameson. J. Jonah Jameson is no longer the editor. But that storyline is very, very, very good. It's very well done.
It was very well written. I was tremendously impressed.
Yes. I know you're about first appearances. There's a new character who was introduced earlier this year, maybe late last year, called the Goblin Queen. If you don't have that, you should probably pick it up. I
think I do have her first appearance actually.
As the Goblin Queen, yeah.
Yeah. One last book I would recommend. I just read. It's called Where Starships Die. Independent book. It's kind of a sci-fi book. It kind of takes place slightly in the future. It centers around a African astronaut. I forget which country he's from. I want to say it's Uganda, but I'm not entirely certain. He was trying to get into the space program. Africa was trying to do a space program. It never really took off. So he did all the training, but he never got to go to space. He has a history as a soldier, pilot, and he gets hired by profiteers or privateers to do a salvage operation in the ocean. There's a section of the ocean that is where it's called like Nemo's Reef or something. I forget the exact name, but there's a section of the ocean where all of these spacecraft that various space agencies put out in space ultimately end up crash landing because it's this deep ravine in the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
And so he gets hired by the salvage group, private salvage group, to try and get the spacecraft that crashed. Now, what's noteworthy about the spacecraft, which is called the Daedalus, is that it was on a deep space mission, crashed back on Earth, and it's like it's impossible for it to get back in that time. And as it turns out, it had a light speed hyperdrive. And so the salvage group wants to get salvage of this hyperdrive and obviously make it for use as an energy source to sell, what have you, reconstruct it and sell it. So he's on this team of privateers on the salvage crew to get this thing. They go into the ocean and they come across some other craft, right? Long story short, the person who hires him is a descendant of Captain Nemo from Jules Verne's books.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, that's impossible. There's no way you're his descendant because Captain Nemo wasn't real. And he's like, and she's like, Captain Nemo was real. He was my great, 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 great grandfather. In fact, Jules Verne, his works are actually always considered to be science fiction. And in reality, Jules Verne's books were actually historical documents. So I don't want to give away any spoilers, but when you think about some of Jules Verne's most noteworthy works are in this comic book, and they're indicated as being historical fact,
not fiction. Yeah.
And it's a black lead on the book. This African.
Do me a favor. Text me that so I can pick it up, please.
Yeah.
Because I'm not gonna remember.
Where starships die. It's only 2 issues in, so you can find them at your LCS.
Right. Please text me that real quick.
Yeah.
Switching gears real quick. Nope. The movie Nope by the great writer and director Jordan Peele. I saw it earlier today. It gets a solid 8 from me. 8 out of 10. I'm not going to give any spoilers other than the fact to say this. Oscar winner Daniel Kaluuya, who played a Wakabi in Black Panther.
Wait, he won an Oscar?
He did.
For what?
Judas and the Black Messiah.
I didn't realize he won an Oscar for that.
He did.
I don't watch the Oscars, but yeah.
Well, yeah. Have you seen that movie?
No.
You got to watch that movie. Judas and the Black Messiah. You've got to watch Judas and the Black Messiah. Daniel Kaluuya has been in 2/3 of Jordan Peele's movies. He was a lead in Get Out, which was a perfect 10. And he was also in this movie called Nope. His character is the son of a rancher who owns a farm, a ranch that provides horses to Hollywood. And there is something third encounter-ish going on. And it also stars Keke Palmer with her little cute self. If you've not seen Keke Palmer do Angela Bassett, I would encourage everyone within the sound of my voice to now Google or go on YouTube and watch Keke Palmer do an impression of Angela Bassett. When she does Angela Bassett, I no longer see Keke Palmer. I see Angela Bassett. Like her face, those deep fake videos that you see, it's reminiscent of that because she looks like Angela Bassett. she does a very, very good job because the two of them played mother and daughter in Aquila and the Bee. Very, very good. But she is Daniel's sister. David Keith is their father. It's a good movie. It's not great, but it is very, very good. It's entertaining. It is suspenseful. Jordan Peele, I like how he puts Black people in situations or predicaments that we're not necessarily accustomed to seeing them in.
Yeah.
That was a thing with us. Rarely do we see us as Black people in the horror genre where we're not in the top 2 or 3 people who are killed. Us, as an example, was a horror, I would say, movie, and it was populated by Black folks. It was a good movie. The ending sucked. I hated the ending, but the movie itself was good. Nope. It was really good. It was not as good as Get Out, but I would encourage people to go see it. I would definitely encourage people to go see it opening weekend, so we can support the brother. Good movie, good writer, good director, good cinematography. It gets a good solid 8. Have you seen Thor yet?
No, I'm gonna try and see it if I can on Sunday.
So, have you had any spoilers about it? Do you know about the after credit scenes?
No, I've avoided any spoilers on Thor so far.
Then I will not give them to you at all.
How many after credit scenes are there though?
2. There are 2 after credit scenes.
Okay.
And both of them are relevant. There are times when after credit, for example, in Thor 2: The Dark World, one of the after credit scenes was relevant. The second one was stupid. You didn't have to see it. This one, both of them, you should see.
All right, cool. Well, dude, we've been on here for over 2 hours
already.
Yeah, 2 hours, 7 minutes, 38 seconds.
Wow. Okay. All right.
So listen, everyone, we appreciate you watching. This is the first time we've been on for a while. Try to be more consistent in the future. We're on summer hiatus doing our things. We hope that if you enjoyed the video that you will like the video, subscribe to it, and share it. Honestly, if you like it, just share it. I mean, it takes you nothing and it helps us out. It helps us to keep doing what we're doing. So simple matter. Also, if you like the merch I'm wearing, this is our Long Box Marauders homage to Midnight Marauders Black Comic Lords t-shirt. We've got this and other stuff like it on our website, blackcomiclords.net. Just go to the merch shop. It's right there. Support that way and get your drip looking straight for the con season. With that, I want to thank my boy Marc. It's always a pleasure hang out with you, have some drinks, do our thing, and we'll see you guys next time. You got anything else to say, Marc?
Nope, that's it. Go watch Nope.
All right.
Recast T'Challa.
And with that, we are out. Thank you.